I look at the dark days surrounding Israel, I feel as if I am living in the midst of a nightmare, where the light of truth seems overshadowed by the shadow of idolatry. My name is Elijah, and I am just a prophet standing up against a sea of corruption and despair. The kingdom, once dedicated to the Lord, is now under the rule of Ahab and his wife Jezebel, who bring with them not only Baal worship but also an atmosphere of fear and oppression. The people of Israel, who were supposed to be a nation united under covenant with God, now struggle in a sea of idolatry, making sacrifices to gods who cannot hear or respond. It is with a heavy heart that I contemplate the scene before me. The altars of Baal stand majestically, while the prophets of the Lord are persecuted and exterminated. Ahab did evil in the sight of the Lord, more than all who were before him. 1 Kings 16:30. These words echo in my mind, reminding me of the gravity of the situation. The betrayal of the divine covenant is palpable, and I, Elijah, feel the urgency to act. I cannot remain silent while the truth is crushed under the feet of false gods. However, I'm not the only one in this drama. Jezebel, with her fierce ambition and relentless spirit, has an almost hypnotic control over Ahab, and consequently, over the people. She is not content with worshiping Baal. Its mission is to eradicate the true faith, to silence the voices of those who oppose it. Jezebel destroyed the prophets of the Lord, 1 Kings 18:4, and that phrase resonates with me like a call. What is at stake here is not just my life, but the very essence of the Israelite faith. As I walk the streets of Samaria, I feel the oppression in the air. Many people look away, as if I were a ghost. They fear Jezebel's wrath, and that saddens me. Where are the brave ones? Where are those who still believe in the God of Israel? It is in this moment of loneliness and despair that I decide that I need to confront the prophets of Baal in a public confrontation. How long will you limp between two thoughts? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if it is Baal, go after him. 1 Kings 18:21. These words will be my declaration of war. On the other hand, what awaits me on Mount Carmel is a mix of expectation and fear. I feel like I'm about to enter a battle that transcends the physical. It is a spiritual war that will determine the future of our nation. When I get to the mountain and look at the crowd, I realize that I am not just fighting for myself, but for every man and woman who has lost themselves in the darkness of idolatry. The cry in my heart is for renewal, for a return to the truth, and as I prepare to pray, a wave of hope washes over me. But even in victory, I know that the challenges will not end. Jezebel's fury is like poison, and I, Elijah, am still just a man. Then Jezebel sent a messenger to Elijah, saying, "So may the gods do to me, and add to me, if I do not make your life like the life of one of them by this time tomorrow." 1 Kings 19:2. This threat weighs heavily on me, and in the midst of victory, I am forced to face loneliness and discouragement. What's at stake is more than my own life. It is the fight for truth in a world that constantly seeks to distort it. And so, as I continue this journey, I invite you to dive with me into the pages of a story filled with faith, courage, and the eternal struggle between light and dark. When the sun sets over Samaria, its intense colors contrast with the darkness that falls over the hearts of the people. The city, once vibrant in the worship of the Lord, now resounds with the echo of songs to Baal. Walking through the streets, I feel the weight of indifference on the faces of those who should be my support. "Elias, do you really believe you can change something?" The voice of an old acquaintance, a man who once had faith, echoes in my mind. He saw me pass, but his gaze was empty, as if he had already surrendered to idolatry. That afternoon, I decide to visit a group of believers who still meet in secret to worship the Lord. The chosen place is a cave at the foot of the mountain, far from Jezebel's watchful eyes. Upon entering, the eyes turn to me, mixed with hope and fear. "Elijah, you came," says a woman, her eyes shining with a faith that seems almost forgotten. "We are so desperate. What can we do? Jezebel will not leave us alone. We need to come together," I respond, feeling the urgency in every word. The Lord is our refuge, but we must rise up against oppression. He has not abandoned us. A murmur of assent runs through the group, but I sense the hesitation. Fear is a powerful enemy, and even those who want to fight find themselves paralyzed by Jezebel's shadow. As I speak, I feel a growing uneasiness. My thoughts return to the Mount Carmel scene where a confrontation is inevitable. "I will challenge you," I announce, and a heavy silence falls over us. We need the people to know who the true God is. If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal, then let them follow him. With each word, a flame of courage begins to burn in the hearts of those around me, but doubt still hangs in the air. That night, as moonlight illuminates the cave, my spirit struggles with the reality of my mission. "Elias, what if I fail?" A thought whispers inside me. The memory of Jezebel's threat weighs like a stone in my chest. The gods do so to me, and add to me, "If I do not make your life like one of them, this time tomorrow." 1 Kings 19:2. I know this woman is dangerous and the possibility of death is real. However, the voice of the Lord echoes in my mind, reminding me that He is my strength. The next morning, a group of prophets gathers, and together we set off for Mount Carmel. The path is arduous and the tension is palpable. "What do you hope to achieve, Elijah?" "They are many, and we are few," murmurs one of the prophets, his voice trembling with fear. "The victory is not ours, but the Lord's. He called us to this moment," I respond, trying to instill courage in our hearts. When we arrive at the mountain, the scene is desolate. The prophets of Baal throng, with their thunderous rituals and frenzied dances. The smell of burning sacrifices hangs in the air and the crowd watches, fascinated. "How long will you limp between two thoughts?" I shout, my voice echoing like thunder. "If the Lord is God, follow him, but if it's Baal, go after him." The murmur of the crowd intensifies and I can see the confusion in their eyes. Yet a part of me still hesitates. What if I fail? I ask myself as the crowd watches in silence. The challenge is monumental, and doubt whispers in my heart. "Elijah, take heart," I conclude, remembering God's promises. The Lord did not call me to victory, but to be his testimony. The first interaction with the prophets of Baal is like a shock. "Do you dare defy Baal?" one of them shouts, anger showing on his face. "Today we will see who the true God is." The atmosphere becomes electrically tense, and I realize that the arena is set, not just for a physical confrontation, but for a spiritual clash that will define the future of the nation. As the prophets of Baal cry out and smite each other, a weariness begins to set in among them. "Where is your God? Maybe he's sleeping or traveling." My screams pierce the air, and the crowd begins to stir. But deep down, a part of me still wonders if the people will truly turn to the Lord. At that moment, between the frenzied adoration and the doubt that plagues me, I realize that this fight is more than a fight between men. It is the battle of faith, and regardless of the outcome, I, Elijah, cannot remain silent. The truth needs to shine through the darkness, and whatever the price, I am willing to pay it. The cries of the prophets of Baal resound across Mount Carmel, like a desperate cry for attention, as the rituals intensify. With each clamor, the crowd stirs, and I can feel the tension building. "Where is your God?" echoes in my mind as I watch the scene. A confrontation not just between men, but between two spiritual realities. "May he be God? Answer us." A prophet cuts himself, blood flowing like a useless sacrifice. The human mind, in its search for approval, often ignores the truth that reveals itself in silence. Time passes, and exhaustion becomes visible on the faces of the prophets of Baal. How long will they cry? I think, while inside me a storm of emotions forms. A weight grows in my chest, and doubt creeps in again. "Elijah, what if the Lord doesn't answer?" The question echoes like an echo of uncertainty that resonates in my spirit, but the voice of God still whispers, "If you believe, you will see the glory of God." John 11:40. This promise, this hope, must be the light that guides my steps. So, after hours of screaming and dancing, I decide it's time to act. "Come closer to me," I cry out, and murmurs run through the crowd. What I'm about to do is not only a test of faith but a declaration of war against the wickedness that has dominated the earth. The prophets of Baal retreat, and in an act of boldness, I build an altar to the Lord with stones, symbolizing the people's union with the true God. Each stone placed is a reaffirmation of faith, not just for me, but for everyone watching. Bring me a calf, I order, and silence falls as the sacrifice is prepared. The tension in the air is palpable, as if the sky itself is watching. The altar is prepared and I position the wood. Now fill the jars with water and pour it on the burnt offering and on the wood. The faces of the crowd turn into looks of disbelief. "You are crazy, Elijah," whispers one of the prophets. "It's a sacrifice, not a flood." But I know that the Lord is not limited by human circumstances. As the water flows, the scene becomes more intense. The challenge is clear. Will the Lord respond with fire? "God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel," I cry out loud, as the sun begins to set below the horizon. "Let it be known today that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant." 1 Kings 18:36. In every word I feel the weight of responsibility. The fate of the people is in my hands, and the truth needs to emerge from the shadows. But deep down, doubt still whispers. What if there is no answer? What will I say to these people? What will become of me? Fear is not just an external enemy, but a specter that lodges itself in my heart. But perfect love casts out fear. John 4:18, I think, remembering that, even in the midst of uncertainty, faith is the anchor that sustains me. When the time of sacrifice arrives, the crowd gathers, breathing in anticipation. "Lord, answer me, that these people may know that you, Lord, are God and that you have turned their hearts." 1 Kings 18:37. The words leave my lips like a battle cry, and the sky seems to open up, as if the forces of creation themselves are waiting for the answer. And then, the miracle happens. Fire descends from the sky, consuming the sacrifice, the wood, and even the stones. The clamor of the crowd turns into a cry of recognition, and I feel the presence of the Lord in every fiber of my being. But even in this moment of triumph, a shadow looms. The echo of Jezebel's voice resonates in my mind, and the fear I thought I had left behind returns with a vengeance. She won't let it go, I think, as joy mixes with apprehension. The challenge I accepted is much more than a physical clash. It is a fight for the soul of a nation, and as the people turn to the Lord, I know the battle is not over yet. The scenario changes, and Jezebel's attack seems imminent. "Elias, you cannot back down," an inner voice warns me. But the pressure grows, and in the midst of victory, I realize that the real fight has just begun. The battle for faith and life continues, and I, Elijah, cannot allow fear to overcome me. The light of the fire that consumed the sacrifice still shines in my eyes, but the glory of the Lord does not erase the approaching shadow. The crowd's clamor begins to dissipate, and in its place, I hear the distant echo of Jezebel's threat. A chill down my spine warns me that today's victory is not the end, but just the beginning of a much deeper battle. Pressure builds in my chest, like a weight that threatens to bring me down. How can I face this woman? Her strength is relentless, I think, as the people around me celebrate, unaware of the storms roiling within me. "May the Lord be God, follow him," shouts someone in the crowd, and I see faces light up with renewed hope. But hope is fleeting when doubt sets in. "Elijah, you cannot back down," an inner voice warns me, and I wonder if I really am the prophet everyone believes me to be. What will become of my calling if I am unable to withstand this new trial? As the prophets of Baal are taken away, memories of my own frailty begin to haunt me. What will happen when Jezebel sends her emissaries? What will I say to the Lord if she seeks me out to eliminate me? Doubt and fear intertwine, and I feel like a leaf in the wind, at the mercy of circumstances. Why am I the one who has to lead this fight? I am not worthy of such responsibility. However, amidst the whirlwind of emotions, a memory emerges. "Fear not, for I am with you." Isaiah 41:10. This promise resonates in my mind, a reminder of the God who has always been there for me. But the battle is not just against Jezebel, it is also against the unbelief that hides within me. "Why do you hesitate, Elijah?" The voice of the Lord whispers in my heart. "You have seen my power. You've seen what I can do." As I look at the crowd, I see hope in their eyes, but I also notice the looks of contempt and doubt. The battle intensifies, and I know I need to act. "Bring the prophets of Baal," I order, my voice firm despite the internal storm. The people hesitate for a moment, but then they move and the execution of justice approaches. The victory is mine, I think, but the doubt persists. What if all this is in vain? What if Jezebel prevails? As I wait, the atmosphere is tense. The sun sets and darkness approaches. As a metaphor for the struggle to come, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall lack nothing." Psalm 23:1. I repeat, but the words seem to echo in an abyss of uncertainty. I feel the presence of God, but also the weight of my challenge. What will I do if she threatens me? What will I do if I fail? The scene around me turns into a battlefield. The people, once vibrant with victory, now turn into an anxious crowd, anticipation palpable in the air. The decisions I will make in the next few hours will not only affect my life, but the life of an entire nation. God, give me courage, I silently beg. Give me strength to face what's to come. The crowd murmurs as they sense the rising tension. What will happen now? "Elias, you are our leader." The weight of responsibility becomes almost unbearable, and the voice of doubt becomes a deafening roar. "If you fail, Elijah, all will be lost." And there, in the midst of expectation and fear, a critical decision forms within me. "We will not give in to fear," I cry out fervently. "Jezebel may threaten, but I will not back down. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" Psalms 27:1. I feel a wave of courage invade me, as if God himself was renewing my strength. Whatever comes, I will face it. I will not just fight for myself, but for all of you. For this nation. The conflict intensifies and the tension is palpable. The choices I have made and those yet to come will determine not only my destiny, but the destiny of everyone who trusts me. The climax approaches, and the fight for faith, life, and truth is about to reach its climax. I will not be defeated, I swear to myself. Today, I will fight with everything I have, for I know that the Lord is with me. And so, prepared for whatever may come, I step forward, ready to face Jezebel, and the battle for the soul of Israel begins again. The air is charged with electricity, and the crowd, which once celebrated, now waits in silence, as if each person is holding their breath. I feel the weight of every look, every expectation, and the weight of responsibility turns into a burning fire inside me. What awaits me is not just Jezebel, but the shadow of doubt and fear that tries to consume me. "Elijah," a man's voice breaks the silence. "You are the prophet of God. You must guide us." His words resonate like an echo in my heart, and I remember the battle we fought on Mount Carmel. I remember the glory of God descending in fire, and the assurance that He is with me. The Lord is my refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. With a deep sigh, I step forward. My voice, now firmer than ever, resonates among the crowd. I know that Jezebel will not be satisfied with today's victory, but I'm not here to bow to fear. I am here to fight for the true God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Every word I speak is like a blow against the approaching darkness. She may come with threats, but I will not back down. The Lord is my God, and I will serve Him. The crowd responds with a growing murmur, a wave of fervor that rises like a raging sea. But deep down, fear still infiltrates them. Jezebel's shadow can be felt as a biting cold that invades the environment. I remember her cutting words, her manipulative power, and how she will not hesitate to use any means to silence the voice crying out for the truth. Then, as if the heavens had responded to my cry, a strong wind blows and the atmosphere transforms. It is as if creation itself is attuned to the unfolding struggle. The crowd stirs, and I feel the strength of the Lord manifest in me. Like a flash of lightning, an idea appears in my mind. The battle is the Lord's. 2 Chronicles 20:15. The scene becomes a spiritual battlefield. I look toward the horizon, where darkness gathers, and I see Jezebel, an imposing figure, her eyes filled with fury and contempt. She advances, surrounded by her emissaries, and fear spreads like a plague among the people. But I, Elijah, am no longer the man tormented by doubt. I am the prophet of God, and courage begins to well up within me. Jezebel, I cry out with all the strength I have. You can try to intimidate, but the Lord is my shield and my fortress. You will not prevail against God's plan. His laugh echoes cold and dismissive, but I don't let it faze me. You may have the mighty on your side, but I have the Lord's army. The tension is palpable. The public is divided, some fearing the queen's wrath, others inspired by my bravery. I remember David facing Goliath, and how a simple shepherd trusted God to defeat the giant. Who is this uncircumcised man to defy the armies of the living God? 1 Samuel 17:26. I repeat in my heart, and it gives me even more strength. With a battle cry, I charge forward. If I have to fight, I will fight. If I have to sacrifice, I will sacrifice. The God who responded with fire is the same one who will give me victory today. The crowd begins to stir, and I feel a collective fervor growing, as if hope is being reborn. Jezebel stares at me, her eyes blazing with anger. You don't know who you're dealing with, Elijah. I am the queen, and you are just a lonely man. She advances, and I feel the pressure of her power, but within me, an unshakable strength rises. You may be queen, but I am the prophet of God, and in the name of those I serve, I challenge you. The words escape my lips like a declaration of war. The sky seems to respond to my call, and the strong wind turns into a whirlwind, the atmosphere vibrating with the intensity of the moment. Jezebel's emissaries hesitate, and the crowd, now united, begins to shout, "Elijah! Elijah!" The cry rises, and courage spreads like wildfire. What began as a personal confrontation turns into a collective struggle for faith and truth. I close my eyes for a moment and raise a silent prayer, asking God to give me the strength to continue. Lord, don't let me give up now. May your will prevail. And at that moment, the presence of God is palpable. The climate changes, and I feel that victory is already within our reach. With a renewed spirit, I face Jezebel with an open mind. Today, in the name of the Lord of hosts, I declare that the truth will prevail. The light that God lit in me will not go out, and the battle we are fighting is not just for our lives, but for the lives of an entire nation. The climax approaches, and the consequences are yet to come, but I feel the deep determination that victory is certain. The Lord is with me, and as the confrontation intensifies, my faith grows stronger. I am prepared for whatever comes, and the battle for Israel's soul is about to unfold in all its glory. The impact of my words echoes through the air, and the energy that was once charged with tension now transforms into a whirlwind of fervor. The crowd screams my name, and I feel the strength of their belief surrounding me like armor. But even in the midst of this surge of courage, Jezebel's shadow still looms over us, and I know that the battle goes beyond what the eye can see. Elijah, you are lost. Your God cannot save us. Jezebel's words cut the air like a blade, but I refuse to give in. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. With each verse that flows into my heart, I feel confidence growing within me. The God who responded with fire on Mount Carmel is the same one who is here now by my side. When she raises her hand, a deep silence ensues. Her look is a mix of contempt and anger. You don't understand what you're doing. My people stand by me, and I will not hesitate to eliminate anyone who opposes me. The crowd hesitates, and fear begins to creep in again, but I refuse to back down. He who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. John 4:4. I feel the strength of the scriptures pulsing within me. The battle begins. Jezebel advances with her emissaries, and I position myself at the front of the crowd. You may have the power, but I have the truth, I shout, and the crowd joins in a clamor of support. Elijah! Elijah! The echo of their screams turns into a roar, and the atmosphere becomes electrically charged, as if the sky itself is about to open up. With a determined gesture, I cry out to the Lord. God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, show everyone that you are the only true God. May your glory be manifested in this place. In response, thunder rumbles, and the sky lights up with a bright glow. It is as if creation is rallying to my cause, and the multitude, now united, becomes one body. An army of faith. Then a great silence settles again. The tension is palpable, and everyone's eyes are fixed on us. Jezebel, in her fury, tries to intimidate, but I face her with the strength of a lion. You can try to silence us, but God's truth cannot be erased. And at that crucial moment, the battle reaches its climax. The sky opens and a ray of light descends. God's power manifests, and panic spreads among Jezebel's followers. I feel victory approaching, and the crowd, now filled with fervor, rises in unison, crying out for freedom and truth. After the confrontation, the scene changes quickly. Jezebel, sensing imminent defeat, retreats, her fury turning to despair. The crowd, once divided, now unites in celebration. The faces that were once marked by fear now shine with hope. "The Lord is God," they scream, and I let the emotion carry me away. But the euphoria soon gives way to deep reflection. Looking around me, I feel the weight of the consequences. The battle was not just against Jezebel, but against the fear that had infiltrated the hearts of the people. "Sir, what do we do now?" The question resonates in my mind. I know that victory brings with it both responsibility and freedom. As the crowd disperses, I sit among the stones, the echoes of victory still ringing in my heart. The fight was hard, but the price of truth is high. What will happen to those who have joined me? Jezebel's story does not end here. The shadow it casts may still extend, but now there is light where there was once darkness. The people's leaders approach, their faces bright but also worried. "Elias, what do we do now? How do we move forward?" I see the need for guidance and firmness. We must unite in prayer and seek the face of the Lord. "Today's victory is just the beginning of a new journey," I respond, feeling the responsibility growing. The reaction is immediate. The leaders begin to organize a time of worship and prayer, and the atmosphere changes again. Faith is renewed, and even those who hesitated now become agents of change. The courage that blossoms between them is visible, and I realize that the fight for the truth is not a lonely battle. As night falls, and the flame of hope lights up in hearts, I reflect on what is to come. This is not just a triumph, it's a new era. And as a prophet of God, I know that the journey is long, but the light that shines within us is greater than any shadow that may appear. The battle has been won, but the real fight for faith and justice has only just begun. As the night deepens, I sit on a rocky corner and watch the crowd still cheering from their newly won victory. The echo of their cries of praise still resonates in my mind. "The Lord is God. The Lord is God." The weight of responsibility settles in my heart, and I wonder, what will happen next? The battle against Jezebel was not just a physical fight, but a spiritual war that required courage and faith. Just as the Lord promised in Isaiah 41:10, "Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, and I will help you, and I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness." I feel this promise being fulfilled within me, but the truth is that victory brings with it the need for vigilance. The crowd disperses, and I stand up, walking among the illuminated faces, but still marked by fear. Today's victory is just the beginning of a path that must be walked wisely. "Elias, what do we do now?" The leader's question echoes in my mind, and I see the concern in their eyes. It is a decisive moment. We need direction. "We must unite in prayer and seek the face of the Lord," I respond, sensing the urgency of the situation. The Lord gave us a chance, but we must remain firm in faith. Victory is a call to responsibility. I am reminded of Galatians 6:9, "And let us not become weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap if we have not fainted." The road ahead may be difficult, but we cannot give up. The leaders begin to organize themselves, and soon the atmosphere changes again. Worship and prayer become the focus, and I join in, lifting my voice in praise. The congregation joins in a cry of gratitude, and I see the transformation happening before my eyes. Those who hesitated are now strengthened by the presence of the Lord. But Jezebel's shadow does not disappear easily. She's still seeking revenge, and I know the battle doesn't end here. In 1 Kings 19:1-2, we can see the consequences of the victory. When Jezebel sends messengers to Elijah promising him death, The fight for truth and justice is not without risks. It requires continued courage and a firm commitment to God. As everyone scatters, I wonder about divine justice. What really happened to Jezebel? The word shows us that his destiny was sealed. In 2 Kings 9:30-37 we see the fulfillment of God's justice. Jezebel, in her arrogance and rebellion, meets her end. Divine judgment does not fail, and justice prevails. In this moment of reflection, I realize that the battle is not just about overcoming visible enemies, but about remaining firm in faith, even in the face of adversity. The lesson we draw is clear. God is always on the side of those who sincerely seek Him, and even when challenges seem insurmountable, His justice will prevail. The story of Elijah and Jezebel is a powerful reminder that the fight for truth and justice is an ongoing journey. In Romans 8:31 we find unshakable comfort. If God is for us, who can be against us? This truth should guide us every step of the way. In the end, I understand that victory is not an end point, but a new beginning. We must remain vigilant, praying and seeking the Lord's direction in each decision. With renewed courage, I rise and prepare for what comes next, knowing that no matter the challenges, God's light will shine upon us. As I sit in silence, absorbing the atmosphere of worship that still permeates the air, a deep reflection comes over me. The battle against Jezebel was not just an isolated episode, but a stage in a journey of faith that requires perseverance, courage, and, above all, an intimate relationship with God. Experience has taught me that even in victories, we must remember that there is an adversary who will not rest and who will always seek to divert us from the divine purpose. Through 1 Corinthians 15:57 we are reminded, "But thanks be to God who gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Victory belongs to the Lord, and it is He who enables us to face challenges. I understand that my struggle is not only against external forces, but also against the doubts and fears that arise within me. The Apostle Paul encourages us in Philippians 4:13, "I can all things in the one who strengthens me." This truth is a pillar in my life, an anchor that sustains me in storms. In reflecting on Jezebel's story, I realize that arrogance and rebellion led her to a tragic destination. In Proverbs 16:18 we read that superb precedes ruin, and the haughtiness of the spirit precedes the fall. This warning is a constant reminder that we must be humble and seek divine wisdom in our lives. The search for justice should not be motivated by the desire for revenge, but by the desire to see the truth triumph. I look around me and realize that, like the dispersed multitude, many of us face daily battles. The challenge is to keep faith in the midst of tribulations. Elijah's story teaches us that even after a great victory, we must prepare for the challenges to come. In Hebrews 12:1-2, we are urged to run with perseverance the race that is proposed to us, looking firmly to Jesus, author and consummate of our faith. What I learned on this journey is that every victory must be a new beginning, an opportunity to grow in faith and obedience. The Christian life is a continuous walk, where we are called to remain firm, even when circumstances seem adverse. In James 1:2-4, we are encouraged to consider every challenge as joy, as they produce perseverance and make us complete. Reflecting on all this, I realize that my responsibility does not end with a victory, but renews itself. The Lord has entrusted me and all of us the mission of bringing their light into the world, even when the shadows seem to approach. The story of Elijah and Jezebel resonates in our time. We need to be vigilant, praying, and seeking God's direction in everything we do. As protagonist of this story, I commit to seeking the Lord's face at every moment. The lesson I carry with me is clear. Victory is a call to action, responsibility, and love. It is an opportunity to strengthen not only my faith, but also the faith of those around me. And as a narrator, the moral that echoes is that the journey of faith is continuous. Each victory prepares us for new challenges, and with God by our side, we can face any adversity with courage and hope.